Hello everybody, now on AFM here with a special podcast celebrating everything video game music related. I'm not sure what I'm gonna call this eventually. It might be one-off. I've always wanted to do like an episodic weekly or monthly show dedicated to the video game music community, whether it's arrangements or video game music itself. The reason why I'm doing this now, it's a very opportunistic moment basically on the Mario Odyssey theme song, which is called Let's Do the Odyssey, or between brackets the One-Up Girl. Not sure what the real name of the song is, but I think it's Let's Do the Odyssey. So as soon as I listened to this trailer and this track, I decided to launch this discussion or talk about it. Thematically, we're going to be talking about three things. First off, regarding the topic at hand, which is the Mario Odyssey theme song. And we're going to be talking about, after that, where the origins of the high production of Nintendo's music, where did it start, where did it come from, and how did we go around full circle and this theme song with lyrics and vocals came to be. And finally, examples on popular video game music with lyrics and with vocals. Like, what are the things that my favorites, or we could explore your favorites, or examples of good and bad ones. It only took Nintendo 30 years or so to make a theme song for a mainline Mario game with the actual vocals and actual lyrics, which is absolutely awesome. Like, I think everybody, whether they're attending E3 or not, are celebrating the existence of this vocal theme song for Super Mario Odyssey. In order to talk about the song, we have to talk about the trailer. The first thing that came to mind when I saw this trailer, I just said, even when I'm 50 years old, Mario will always bring a smile to my face. It's never gonna, like, every time they release a trailer or a mainline Mario game, I'm gonna smile. Like, I'm 30 years old now, and I've been playing this series ever since I was a kid, and it's charming, it's brimming, it's oozing with charm. What I loved about how they revealed things in the trailer, Nintendo's like they are masters of making like awesome trailers, because they do a couple of swerves, especially with Mario Odyssey. There's a lot of things in the trailer that you didn't expect. Two things is, like, they started this with E3 last year. They started with like a setting or an environment that doesn't seem Mario-esque, and suddenly Mario appears out of nowhere. Last year was it's like seemed like a modern city, and there was a close-up on the taxi in the sewer hole, and Mario suddenly jumps up and jumps out of the sewer or the manhole, and he's wandering the city, just like similar to Sonic Adventure. And with this trailer, it starts with like a T-Rex. It's the same thing. Like, when you look at reactions to the trailer, everybody, as soon as you see the T-Rex, like, it's Monster Hunter, right? This looks like Monster Hunter, but it's a real T-Rex. Monster Hunter has sort of like fantasy type enemies, and then the hat of Mario on the T-Rex suddenly like pans out and gets revealed, and you realize, oh, this is Mario. What the hell? This doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the possession mechanic, that's another thing that nobody expected. Like, we all thought it was going to be hat-themed powers. You buy various hats with various powers, but it's actually like you use the hat. Yeah, it's a power-up, but at the same time, the power-up of the game, or the theme of the gameplay, is you throw the hat to an enemy and you possess that enemy, and which is very, very creative. It has been done before, but you can maybe not to perfection. Geist for the GameCube tried that. I heard a lot of good things about the game, but it wasn't received as well as we expected. Obviously, people talked about Mindjack. Mindjack is one of the worst games ever, but it did have the possession mechanic, and it was so creative. The concept was so creative, but the execution sucked. I heard Parasite Eve for the PSP also did that. I'm not sure how well it was received, but maybe not as... It's not well renowned. I'm pretty sure that Mario Odyssey is gonna, that gameplay theme is gonna be very, very well received, and it's been real well received from people who have been playing the game. And the other surprise in the swerve is the music. it starts when you start suddenly like hearing vocals or like somebody singing, and you're suddenly surprised. Okay, what's this? I didn't expect a Mario game with vocals. That's quite surprising. The song itself is wonderful. The lyrics are absolutely awesome. There's a lot of like references to Mario in the lyrics, like the one-up girl, self-referential. I like the self-referential things, gathering coins, and the premise is really cool. Apparently, it seems that what I feel that it seems that it's English only. It's produced with English lyrics in mind. You would expect that a Japanese company would make the Japanese version and then Nintendo of America would localize the song, but thankfully it looks like it's an English only song, even with the Japanese version. I'm assuming they did that because Mario is a global phenomenon, a global icon, and they want to appeal to an international audience, so making an English song is obviously the way to go here. I'm just wondering, who is the composer though? I want to know who is composing this game in particular. Is it Mahito Yokota, the same guy who did Mario Galaxy, or is it a different composer? And who's the vocalist? Who's the singer? We want to know. I'm wondering if you listeners have information. It'd be cool if we could find the singer, like congratulate her, because this is she has an awesome voice and she's really jazzy. It really fits the big band theme that Nintendo has with the song itself, and obviously with they've been doing this since Super Mario 3D World. They went to the jazz route of making live music or live instrumentations of video game songs instead of taking the orchestral route. They did that with Mario Kart 8 as well. They're inclined to be jazzy more than anything else, which is quite cool. I like that it's jazz. And finally, a lot of people noticed this when they were watching the trailer, but I didn't. When they started like revealing gameplay, I started like connecting the dots. When you see the band that's actually playing in the song in New Donk City, towards the end of the trailer and the beginning of the trailer itself, the female figure is actually Pauline, which is, for Mario Hardcore fans, the first damsel in distress before Princess Toadstool Peach, which is in the Donkey Kong arcade game. Which is kind of cool. I like that they're building this in a storyline perspective. Also, when various gameplay has been revealed from the E3 show floor in the demo, and you see that Pauline is actually recruiting members or recruiting bandmates, or asking Mario to help her recruit bandmates for this celebration, basically. So they're building it into the plot line of the game. So it would be really cool, like when you get that mission done, the whole song plays or something like that. That would be really cool. It would be like a nice moment in the Mario Odyssey video game. And speaking of Donkey Kong and New Donk City and all that, there's a subtle reference for people who have good ears for music. I'm obviously not a music expert, but I would say that I do have good ears when it comes to video game music. I'm a nerd in these things. I don't know if anybody knows the subtle Donkey Kong arcade reference in the song itself. There is the portion towards the end of the trailer where the vocalist goes Odyssey, see, you know that, and then there's the Goombas stacking up on top of each other. If you notice the background music playing and the riff, it's actually a remix or an arrangement of the Donkey Kong arcade theme, which is everybody knows that one. So if you notice that, it's basically like a jazzy rendition of that towards the end of the trailer, and I love that reference. I wonder if anybody picked that up. If you guys obviously listen to this discussion or podcast first, and you see other people picking it up, tell them that I discovered it first. I want to be like the guy who discovered this, because I did tweet about it, but I didn't notice. I didn't see a lot of people talking about that subtle riff or particular riff or reference to the Donkey Kong arcade theme song. Very cool that Nintendo likes to do this with their songs at times. They did that as well in the Skyward Sword main theme. It's a reverse of Zelda's theme from Ocarina of Time, so they do that from time to time. So really good stuff. I really enjoy the song. It's so addicting. It's so catchy. Like I'm just watching the trailer because of the music, because of the theme song. It's partly the reason why I found the trailer to be charming, and why I repeatedly watch the trailer from time to time just to listen to that part of the song. Apparently, Nintendo has been playing the full version in the Treehouse Live segments between gameplay sessions, which is very, very cool. People picked that up and ripped it. Obviously, they tried to like take the rip of the full version, which is 4 minutes long. It's the same theme basically, with different lyrics for the second part or the second verse of the song, which is quite cool. I hope they should make like a sing-along trailer or sing-along version, an official sing-along version of the song, you know, with lyrics, and you have this cursor going from one verse to another, and you like sing along with the. It would be cool, like I do a karaoke version. I would love to to see a video like that. So we're gonna be going to the next segment of this podcast discussion. How did it come full circle? Where did the big production of video game music in Nintendo's perspective come from? A lot of people trace that back to Mario Galaxy, which everybody knows the story of Mahito Yokota, a new composer for Nintendo, pushing for live orchestra, and Koji Kondo, who was the senior musician in Nintendo HQ, sort of like being against it. Him and Shigeru Miyamoto, not against it, but they're very reserved about spending a budget towards music, but it worked out very well for them, because after that they started exploding with all these live big band and live orchestra and instrumentations in the various Nintendo games. One example is obviously, like I mentioned before, Super Mario 3D World, where the big band jazz, like Nintendo Jazz, started from, and they moved that to Mario Kart 8 as well, which has a band playing like certain jazzy renditions of old Mario Kart songs. So that's really cool. But I actually want to trace it further back. It's not that game that started it all. I would argue that from an in-game perspective, F-Zero GX, a lot of people don't talk about that game much. The game is produced by Sega and made by Sega, but published by Nintendo. So everything in the game was like Sega based, and Amusement Vision, the developers, I don't know who decided on doing like live band versions, or there's like when you go to the what do you call them, the characters, and see their statuses and their biography in the game itself, each character has a certain theme song, and some of them are with lyrics, are with vocals, and some of them are with no vocals, but everything was played live. It seemed, the guitars, the riffs, the drums, it seems like a live band is playing all this, which is absolutely cool. I found the F-Zero GX soundtrack to be one of the best Nintendo-based soundtracks ever, because of the live aspect to the music, with the rock and guitars and the heavy metal and all that. One cringy, not too cringy, I like it, but some people find it a bit cringy, that some of the vocalists for F-Zero GX, they're Japanese based, but they're singing in English. And I'm going to talk about this later more, but sometimes when you get this combination, it doesn't work out as well. But with F-Zero GX case, I would argue that it turned out really well for them. The music in the game is so catchy. Even the ones with vocals, like Captain Falcon's theme in particular, is very nice to sing in here and listen to. If you want to even argue before that, before actually putting in-game live music, Nintendo used to produce, in Japan, obviously Japanese exclusive, live albums of certain game series or certain music. One of the first ones, I would argue, was F-Zero X Guitar Arrange. A lot of people that are in the video game remixing or arrangement community find this album in particular to be an inspiration to video game arrangement, because it wasn't well known before that. You would argue maybe Dragon Quest used to do a lot of live orchestra sessions in Japan, and they sell these in terms of albums. But in terms of Nintendo, F-Zero X was one of the first rock-based, very heavy rock-based, and I think it's helmed by Taro Brando, who is the same composer for the F-Zero series, who today, I think he is composing for Breath of the Wild, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he helmed that, and he played guitars in that, something like that sort, that album. And then there's the Mario and Zelda Big Band Live. You should search for these sessions on YouTube. There are live videos of these sessions. They also sell album and music, MP3 versions of this session in particular. It's where I would say the big band jazz like movement started for Nintendo. Very nice to listen to. There are various like songs from Mario and Zelda covered in this session. One of the things I liked, I think Yoshi's Stories theme was covered in that, and Dragon Roost Island from The Wind Waker, very nice jazzy big band version of that, which is really cool. And finally there is Smashing Live. It's an album. Basically, Masahiro Sakurai has a lot of contacts in terms of video game music composers, and it's evident in Super Smash Bros. Brawl when you see a lot of like arrangements in the game from known Nintendo franchises. Sakurai has a lot of contacts, and he brought a lot of people in, like Nobuo Uematsu, who made the main theme of Smash, etc., etc. So I think he's responsible for making the Smashing Live. It's an orchestrated version or session of Super Smash Bros. Melee music. Again, you'll find albums, you'll find songs like throughout YouTube if you search for Smashing Live. Really cool stuff. Finally, after like talking about Nintendo-related live video game music and live instrumentation, let's talk about like video game music with vocals. Like, where did it start from? What was the first one that you recall, or the first one that like started the snowball movement of video game theme songs? And it's, for me personally, and from what I recall, and I think this is the first thing, Sonic Boom from Sonic CD. That's, for me, that was the first one I've listened to in terms of video game songs with lyrics and vocals. And for me, it's a really cool song because it's so serious. It has the 90s rock vibe to it. Like, what do they call it? Alternative rock or something of the sort. It has that vibe, and I find the American version or the North American soundtrack of Sonic CD. There's the discussion of which soundtrack is better, the Japanese version of Sonic CD or the North American version. I was raised with the North American version, so I'm inclined to be biased toward that. But I'm also like comparing the theme songs. For me, I talked about this before in the previous point. Supersonic Warrior, which is the Toot Toot, I think it's called Toot Toot Supersonic Warrior, the Japanese version of the main theme of Sonic, I found that to be very cringy, in my opinion, because it's Japanese people singing in English, and for me it doesn't work well. There's something wrong. It's not just the pronunciation. They tend to use, if obviously a lot of people watch anime, and they tend to use like random English words that don't make sense with the song or what's going on. Sometimes it works very well in terms of like anime opening songs, in my opinion. Like, for example, I like Machinoki Eppo. I like Eppo's first main theme song. There's like rolling go, you know. It's funny, but it's really catchy. It works sometimes it doesn't work. For me, Supersonic Warrior doesn't work in its favor. That's why I prefer Sonic Boom. It's more serious, and it fits Sonic or what's going on in the game more than the Japanese version. They use the vocalists of Sonic Boom were used in the North American soundtrack also in various like Sonic stages. I think Quartz, Quadrat, you'll find like a lot of a cappella in the rock themed soundtrack, which is really cool to me. Next up, let's move to the Final Fantasy series. Obviously, it all started with Final Fantasy VII, Nobuo Uematsu doing the Latin choruses to One Winged Angel, and that caused I would say, a snowball effect to a lot of video game theme songs using Latin lyrics, especially fantasy-based. You know, it works sometimes very well for them. I would say One Winged Angel is the pioneer for that, and then it moved to Final Fantasy VIII with the intro cinematic. I think it's Libere Fatali. I can't pronounce it exactly, but also very like engaging to watch. And you would say the music thematically works well with the trailer, and it gets you more excited to play the game. And there's also with Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy IX, there are English versions of Like, you would say they're the credit song or the theme song of the game itself. Eyes on Me by Fei Wong, that's Final Fantasy VIII. For me back then, it's really, really cool, and I'm glad that they got somebody who was proficient in Japanese and English. So she did the English version justice. It's as good as the Japanese version because the lyrics are good, they're well written, and the pronunciation, the singing itself, like it's really, really cool. I find it to be awesome. Even Melodies of Life. It's not as well received as Eyes on Me, but I also find it to be good. I'm surprised that they didn't localize Final Fantasy X's theme song. They kept it in Japanese. I love it, but I really wish there was an official English version. A lot of people talk about, for me also, this is one of the first instances that I recall of video game songs with lyrics or theme songs. Lunar Silver Star Story. That game was for the PlayStation by Working Designs. The introduction sequence with the anime opening. I don't know the name of the song itself, but it starts with "In your dreams, magical thoughts, all dreams are real unless you dream them not." Yeah, that song is. I found it to be a really, really catchy. Like the localization for that song. I didn't listen to the Japanese version, but I find it to be very, very cool. I like that song in particular. And there's there was also like 2 or 3 vocalized songs for Lunar Silver Star Story. But a lot of people like discussing on the PlayStation 1 version of Lunar SSS version, versus the PSP version, which is Silver Star Harmony. That's the remake. What I love about Xseed, what they did was they got the same vocalist from the PlayStation 1 version to sing the PSP remake, which is really cool. I don't know how they did that. They pulled it off so well, and you notice the improvements. Like, she improved so much. Her range, her vocals, her singing are so much better in the PSP version. But the lyrics are not as memorable. A lot of people say they're more faithful to the Japanese version, the localization of the lyrics, but I find the PS1 version to be a lot more memorable. I could like remember it off the top of my head. With the PSP version, no, I like the singing, but I don't like the lyrics as much. Next up, I found this to be cool. I didn't play the Max Payne series, but I got introduced to the band Poets of the Fall, and they sung the main theme of Max Payne, which is Late Goodbye. Very catchy song, really like edgy. I feel that it's like depressing, like it really fits. I would say it fits the theme of the game, even though I didn't play it, but I do feel when I'm watching the gameplay and I'm listening to the song, I love Late Goodbye, and basically that song introduced me to the band Poets of the Fall. They have a really cool song called, what is it? Carnival of Rust. That's their most popular one. You definitely go check out the music video and check out the song itself. Carnival of Rust is absolutely thematic. You would think that it would fit a video game perfectly, but it's separate. It's something that mainstream, obviously, that they've done. And Late Goodbye is, I think it's something special because the band has a relationship with the director Sam Houser, so he sort of like told them to make this song specially for the game, and I think they released it separately in their own like album or something of that sort. So speaking of which, let's go on a tangent here. Speaking of mainstream music, a lot of video games nowadays use mainstream music as their main theme song. I'm wondering, you guys have any examples from the top of your head, examples of good and bad? I can't remember. Their Final Fantasy 13, I think, used one like mainstream song. I didn't think that it fit well, but Final Fantasy 15 also used a mainstream song. Leona Lewis, I think, Stand With Me or Stand By Me. I listened to it in the trailer, and I find it to be like really appropriate and cool, even though it's like pop and doesn't seem like it suits it well. But I know my friend Jared, who played the game to completion, feels that as soon as that song hits in the game itself, it just fits so well for the brotherhood and whatnot, because of these 3 dudes who are going on an adventure. For me personally, I've been playing recently Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire on the iOS, and I found it really funny that they were advertising we have Offspring songs in this clicky game. It's a freemium game that basically, it's really simple, like it's Zen. There's nothing complicated to the gameplay. It's not as the Crazy Taxi that you know, but they advertise the game with having Offspring songs which is very cool. I found when I would play the game and the Offspring song hits all of a sudden when I'm getting the bonuses, it gets me so excited. And I remember like the original Crazy Taxi, and thankfully that's now free for the iOS for people who are curious and want to play that. Crazy Taxi to me is it's nothing without the Offspring music and the punk music that's playing in the background when you're playing the arcade mode. And a lot of people will agree or echo these sentiments. Offspring like fits the game so much, and I don't know how Sega managed to do the licensing, but it worked out really well for them. It seems like Offspring is the songs are the main theme of Crazy Taxi. And recently when I listened to the Offspring songs in the iOS version, I started looking up Offspring again and remembering the band's music or contributions back in the late 90s, like Pretty Fly for the White Guy, and there's Original Prankster. I mean, I've completely forgot about these songs, but now I'm like recalling them, and like really I used to love this type of music back in the day. And I really want to get like rebuy all these digital versions on the iTunes store, because like Offspring is awesome. I don't know if I'm not following them now, but I find them to be really cool. And obviously, like this is the best example of mainstream music fitting video game music so well. So back to no, let's not go back to. Let's continue with the mainstream theme here. There's Kingdom Hearts. A lot of people don't know. I think that Utada Hikaru, the girl who sings the main theme of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, I don't think that these songs were specially produced for the game, but they were licensed for the game. Like the Square Enix like worked with her to get her music from her albums in Japan for the game itself. Simple and Clean is the obviously most popular one. And everybody like associates this song with the Kingdom Hearts series, Simple and Clean in particular, even more than Sanctuary. I think the Japanese version is called Hikari, and this is another example of having somebody proficient in Japanese and English and doing both versions justice. Like both sound absolutely awesome, the English and the Japanese version. Some people prefer one over the other, but you can't argue that both versions of Simple and Clean and both versions of Sanctuary are very good, and I really hope she comes back for Kingdom Hearts 3. I hope they manage to court her in. I heard that she's on a hiatus, but she's planning for a return, so hopefully Kingdom Hearts 3 would be the perfect opportunity for her. Let's move on with let's go back to like video game music with lyrics or with themes. What other examples do we have? For me, there are other like you would say comedic versions or comedic vocal songs of certain games. The DK rap, that's an example of a meme that gone bad. A lot of people, when they listened to it first on the original game, they didn't mind it because back in the late 90s, this was like, it was like, I don't know, anything was acceptable, you know, it's an open canvas. But a lot of people now, when they look back to that song, they find it to be extremely cringy and like terribly composed. But when you talk to Grant Kirkhope, who made the actual DK rap, he made it in jest. It was a joke. He knows that it was cheesy and really stupid, but it worked out well for him. Like it was intentionally bad, you can say. And it turned, for me, I find that to be very funny. It's unfortunate that they censored the lyric "one hell of a guy." They make it "one heck of a guy." Obviously, Nintendo, they have to do that eventually. But the initial lyric is for me is very cool and surprising to hear. It's a catchy song, but very silly. Moving on with the rare themes, The Great Mighty Pooh, one of the best, funniest. I'm gonna emphasize that, songs in a game ever. It's hilarious. It's absolutely funny, filled with like British humor, toilet humor, and the fact that there's a Pooh singing in opera style is just so cool. I find it to be like one of the most hilarious instances and the best examples of video game music with lyrics, in my opinion. A lot of people find this also to be cringy, but it still holds up. I find it hilarious to this very day. I remember listening to it at first. Conquer was a surprising game for me back in the day. Like it was one of the most mature games I've played back when I started. When I played it in when did it come out there? 2001. And I was showing this game to my friends, and I wanted to show them the Great Mighty Pooh area because I played it by myself and then wanted to show it to them. And everybody was laughing out loud, like, "What the hell is this? This is so hilarious." Sonic Adventure. Let's move on to Sonic Adventure. Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 has maybe some of the best game music with vocals ever. It follows like the Crazy Taxi theme in terms of being rock and punk, and the composer of Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, Jin Sino, I think I'm mispronouncing his name. He has a band, and I think he's one of the like vocalists. He's like doing a lot of the theme songs for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. And City Escape obviously is the most popular one from Sonic Adventure 2. The intro song is "Follow me, trust me, and we will escape from the city." So that's the most popular like example of cool music in Sonic Adventure. Like no matter how terrible the games are, the music of Sonic is always good. Even the main theme for Sonic 2006, which is a terrible game but has amazing music. I'm trying to remember what's the main theme called, In This World. Yeah, that's a very nice song to listen to. And there's another song that's really cool from Sonic 2006. I can't remember the Dreams of Absolution. That is an amazing song. Search for it on Google. Yeah, you will be surprised by how awesome the song is, and it really fits the theme of and the storyline, the plotline of Sonic 2006. A lot of people love what's being done with the Metal Gear Solid series. I don't have a lot of nostalgic feeling towards that in particular, but I do love Snake Eater from Metal Gear Solid 3. Really reminds me of like James Bond, like Bond main themes, very jazzy, very like sexy, subtle, you know. That's the best example I would say. Metal Gear Solid 5 used a mainstream song for one of its trailers, but I'm not sure that it makes the cut in the game itself, which is Nuclear by Paul Oakenfold. Amazing song. I loved how they implemented it in the trailer version. I didn't play as far in Metal Gear Solid 5 to see the song itself being implemented in-game, but I really hope it does. It did make it in-game itself. And finally, Ninokuni. For me, it's an absolute favorite for me, because it's an end credits song, but it's an arrangement of the overworld. When you're walking in the overworld, it's an arrangement of that theme with the lyrics. Again, it's a really good example of being localized correctly. They got a different singer for the English version, and they found like a choir boy in London. He sung for the Queen. I can't remember his name, but he has a very soft, awesome voice, man. Like I can't believe that it's a kid that's singing that, and it really fits again the theme of the game. And I find what's it called? Pieces of a Broken Heart. That's the end credits theme called, to be a really amazing song. Even the Japanese version is good, so it's faithful and it's localized well. I really hope they do the same with Ninokuni 2. And I guess that wraps up our talk with video game music with lyrics. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, we need to celebrate this. This is really cool that Mario finally, like after all this time, I don't count the Mario theme from the Super Mario Bros. Super Show as his main theme. It's a cheesy version of it. I'm glad that something in-game with lyrics that are well written and funny and catchy and self-referential actually making the game, and more people should be talking about this and celebrating it. Again, hope you've enjoyed this discussion talk about video game music. Keep me posted in the comments if you guys want to see more community-based discussion on video game music arrangements and whatnot. I'm really curious to do something like that focuses on like monthly releases of OC Remix and Dwelling of Duels. I follow these scenes from time to time, not as much as before, obviously due to academic constraints and academic I have a lot of like work to do, so I can't do this as much, but I'll try to like, if there's good demand and good response to this episode, I'll try to like make something else soon enough. Again, thank you for listening. Any constructive comments, please leave them below, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out. Goodbye. Great take. Glad I got that out of my system. Let me press on stop now. Edit the podcast. Get everything out. It'll be a cool video. You'll enjoy it. It's fun. I'm bored now. What do I do until I get everything edited? Maybe I could go back and watch the trailer and sing along with the song. That would be cool. Good idea. Glad nobody's listening to me right now. That would be embarrassing. Here we go, off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails? It's freedom like you never knew. Moving fast from the past. Say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Oh, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump and all your cares will soar away. And if you don't pass through this world, don't even shed a teardrop. I'll be your one-up boy. So let's jump all super high. Jump up in the sky. Just go where we can see you today. You know that you're my superstar. No one can take me this far. I'm making the switch. Get ready for this. Let's do the Odyssey. Bum bum ba-da-da-dum, bum ba-da-da-dum, bum bum ba-dum. 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 Bum bum ba-da-da-dum, bum ba-da-da-bum, bum bum ba-dum.